All right, welcome back to another episode here of Inside the Box podcast. We are on episode, what, 5 or 6? I don't know. Anyway, we are here with Brad. How do you say your last name, Brad?
Probst.
Probst. You can go ahead and pull that a little bit closer to you there. You can move it however you want, make it comfortable. There you go. Brad is with Ware Group here in town. Brad, go ahead and introduce yourself. Maybe tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay. So I grew up in Jacksonville, Illinois. Went to school at Illinois State, majored in marketing, minored in sales. Interned at a big insurance company in the marketing department. That was a pretty good experience, but being kind of an entrepreneur, I decided to get into my minor sales. So I worked for sales in a large format printing company. And then I didn't really like it, probably wasn't good at it. So I moved back home and then just kind of, I don't think you ever wake up and say, I want to be an insurance agent. So I just kind of fell into being an independent rep for a large voluntary benefit company. And I kind of like the independent contractor solopreneur thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So did that for about 4 years, made the move to Ware Group, which is a pretty similar in 2012, which is a pretty similar concept, but instead of having one carrier, I have about 20.
Yeah.
So it's
So
similar.
I was looking on your guys' website a little bit before you got here. There's multiple Ware Group locations, correct?
Correct. Yes, we have we're headquartered in Champaign. We have a Springfield branch, obviously. There's 2 Springfield agents. We have a branch in Quad Cities, Iowa, and then a Chicago branch. And then we're moving to Indianapolis. We're starting up a branch in Indianapolis next year, this coming year.
So growing company.
Yeah.
So is it primarily just insurance that you guys do there? Or what? I saw there was, you got stuff for employees, employers. There's a lot of different things it looked like.
Yeah. So what we do, we're a specialty agency. Our specialty is what's called, it's got a lot of terms, voluntary benefits, supplemental, ancillary, worksite, workplace. We'll call it voluntary benefits or VB to keep it simple. But what it does is it's not like health insurance that pays doctors and hospitals. Our policies actually pay people directly because usually when someone's going through a health issue, they're going to have copays, deductibles. Health insurance isn't what it used to be 10 years ago, obviously. So most people, when they're going through a health issue, they need, especially if it's something very serious like cancer, they're going to need more money coming in. So we pay people directly so they can cover their bills at home.
And they pay the bills themselves?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. So it kind of, and what I've noticed from doing claims is it's more of the peace of mind it provides when someone's going through a tough battle with cancer, for example. They don't have to worry about add money to an already, horrible situation.
Yeah. So. I guess I didn't even know that they had that or did that. So basically, somebody has a health issue. Mm-hmm. They receive the bills directly from the hospital or whatever, but your guys' plan is paying them, and then they just pay the bill or whatever they need to do with that money.
So we have a bunch of different policies, and they all kind of work differently. Oh, okay. But generally speaking, if somebody has a claim,
what was the name of that type of insurance?
It's called Supplemental Insurance.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's meant to supplement health insurance, is where the name comes from.
So you would recommend having kind of both, typically?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, you would definitely need health insurance so you don't, get a $100,000 medical bill or, $1 million. Or
so it's usually not as much that people are getting, but it's more, okay, I'm with you now. Okay, I guess. I was taking that a different way when you were first talking about it. It was like, okay, they get the bill and then they pay you give, okay.
Yeah,
nice.
So it's a niche type of insurance, and it's one of those things that unfortunately I don't think a lot of people realize what it is till they're in a situation to where they need it.
Right.
Because depending on what stat you look at, I think the average, about 50% of bankruptcies is from medical bills, and about 75% of those people had health insurance.
Man, health insurance is it's just crazy, the situation we're in nowadays. And I don't know, you might have some input on this, but I remember not 2020, but when we were signing up for 2020, trying to get health insurance, we're going through the Obamacare or whatever you want to call it.
Healthcare.gov.
Yeah, and the pricing was just ridiculous for a plan for me, my wife, and my son. I just couldn't believe it. And we were going to get gouged so bad. I think we were going to end up spending like $1,200 or $1,300 a month for like a shitty plan. And I was just so annoyed with it. And then finally I got connected with somebody through my accountant who does some stuff, and he set me up. He quoted through my business. So now I was able to offer health insurance through OOTbox to my employees, but also get it for right now it's not beneficial for them to get on the plan, but I was able to get my family a plan for like $900 a month that is way better coverage than I was going to get for like $1,200 or $1,300 a month. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just nuts where health insurance has gone and what's been happening.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the pre-existing condition clause is good, but again, that's going to
right. And that's the best part of it.
It's
the
going
pre-existing, right? I mean, really, that's in my head, but
in my opinion, because if you see somebody that has, type 1 diabetes, a child, that's not
right
for them to be uninsurable. It's going to tie at your heartstrings a little bit. But of course, that's going to come with extra cost. And
So do you guys offer, like, I saw you kind of had your sections on your site. It was like employees, employers, and I don't recall offhand what the other section was.
It was broker.
Broker, okay. So like for a business like mine, would you offer something like I just described to like a small business or something where they can turn around and offer health insurance to their employees, or is that...
Yeah, so we stay away from health insurance.
Okay. I'm sorry, you said that.
No, you're fine. We would, if a group was asking me about that, I'd refer it out to, a good broker that specializes in that.
They could offer supplemental.
Yeah.
Okay. So
the benefit to the value we're providing to the employer is these products are usually going to be employee paid through a payroll deduction. So they can enhance their benefit package without having to pay the premium. So if you're looking at, say you're an employee, you're looking at company A versus company B. Company A has health insurance. Company B has health insurance and Ware Group.
And
they're probably, all things consistent pay. They're probably going to go with the company that has more benefits, even though the employer doesn't pay the premium.
Yeah, especially nowadays, it's so important for like when someone's looking at a job, like the benefits that are included with it. Sometimes people just look at straight pay, but you got to look at those. And young people starting off, a lot of times they don't even think about that stuff. You know what I mean? Like
You're absolutely
retirement or vacation, or I was excited to be able to offer. This year was 2020 was the first year I gave my employees paid vacation time, paid holidays, and the option if they wanted to pay for get on our insurance plan, which I felt good as a small business owner. You know what I mean? Getting to that point, you know what I mean? But I'm always trying to do everything I can. They work hard and they're helping grow the business, so try to do what I can. So would you say that your guys' company is like, where's the majority, I guess, come from? Is it usually individuals or businesses, or
the majority of
just
the
business
policies?
in general? Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's our end. At the end of the day, it's coming from the employee. They're the people buying the policies.
I gotcha.
But so I mean, it's 100% from the employee.
Right.
But you can't just go into. You need to talk to the business owner, and of course, and explain the benefit. So kind of what we're dealing with is our actual products. You can get them from they're out there. There's a lot of single carrier reps running around. A lot of brokers are getting into supplemental benefits because it's a number one segment in the insurance industry. So our value is more of our implementation, our fulfillment. We're a specialty company, so that's all we know. All we know is the voluntary benefits. So it'd be like if you go to, say you have a neck problem, there's doctors that just focus on necks. We're kind of the same thing with the supplemental insurance. So we're going to know how to design the plan to make it appealing to the employees, how to communicate it, how to enroll it.
Yeah.
We're going to make it a good experience because employers are going to be, I'm not salesy, I'm not pushy, but employers are always going to be, you don't want to sick a salesperson on your employees.
Right.
Most people don't.
Yeah.
So we make it, a no pressure, good experience to where, worst case scenario, they have a better idea of what the product is, whether or not they want to get it or not.
Yeah.
We're just there to educate.
Right. Which is important. Like when I was going through what I was just talking about as far as getting the health insurance for the business. I was on the phone with one, the guy helping me, and then two, Blue Cross, because he was like selling the Blue Cross or whatever. But I was on the phone with them for like an hour and a half asking questions, just trying to line it all out because there's so many weird aspects of doing that. So it's having somebody knowledgeable, like yourself, when you're trying to figure that stuff out. I totally see the value in that. I was amazed that they sat there with me for that long on the phone with all my dumb questions. And that's where like some of these I'm asking you probably come off as a little bit dumb, but I just want to make sure in my head I'm like wrapped around exactly what's going on. So no individual comes to you. It's all the employers and their employees. Okay.
Correct. We can technically do individual, but we don't want to. We're a big fan of staying in our lane, is what we call it. So I can sell health insurance, but I don't want to.
Right.
I'd rather refer that out to somebody who's better at it.
For sure.
So the third thing on our website you brought up earlier was brokers. We will partner with insurance agents
to offer.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah. So they're using us for. They're doing what they do well, and then they're using us as their supplemental or their voluntary benefit department.
Okay.
And we're doing the same thing on the flip side of that. If one of our accounts wants a quote on their car, I don't know how to do it, so we're going to refer it out.
Yeah.
Or they start talking about health insurance. Hey, let's get you over here to somebody who's going to, that's their specialty.
It's interesting because I read, and I think I brought this up in the last podcast, but I read this book, From Good to Great, and it's all about how good companies became great companies, and one of the main takeaways I got from it was focusing on what you're good at and trimming out the rest of the stuff. So it's like exactly kind of what you're saying with that.
That's our whole philosophy. We call it the 80-20 rule or the Pareto Principle. Mm-hmm. But at 80% of your results come from 20% of the effort, or 80% of your results come from 20% of your products or whatever. So we're focused on that. Our 20% is that voluntary benefit space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. So let's jump back a little bit about yourself at least. So you said you went to school at ISU?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Bloomington, right?
Bloomington Normal. I think it's officially Normal, but I don't know.
That's where you're not allowed to be employed here unless you went to ISU.
That's funny.
A couple of my teammates, they're from here, and then one's from went to school in Indiana. So marketing and what did you say? Marketing major, sales minor. So I did graphic communication with a minor in marketing at Western.
Nice.
How would you compare like your overall education from college to like what you're doing now?
So the one thing I will say, a lot of it, I think the best education is on the job training, and just going and just jumping in, diving in.
Exactly.
I
was saying I don't remember who I was talking to about it, but I was like, I feel like they should almost change schooling to where like if somebody wants to learn a specific job, like where you almost just pay that employer, like pay them the money to go get real world training or do it for free, depending on who it is. Obviously a bigger company, I could see them making the money off of it for spending the time to train, but you just learn so much when you just start doing it.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. Maybe you should start a new college, but the doctors have that right with clinicals or whatever the term's called, to where they actually work in a hospital for however many years.
And it's kind of like an internship, I had to do one to graduate. We had to do an internship. I got lucky because I did mine for a local company, a sign company, and it was a semester long, but halfway through I did a good job and they hired me, so I got paid for half of it while I was still finishing school, so it was pretty neat. Did you have to do any kind of internship or anything for ICE?
I didn't have to, but I wanted to. So I interned for the marketing department of an insurance carrier in Bloomington.
Nice. How was that? Get some pretty good
I liked it a lot. One of the questions I asked them when they were interviewing me was, hey, am I going to be a gopher? And they said no. And
as in just doing random
doing random, which they did give me a gopher project my first week. I had to stuff boxes for agents. But after that, and a lot of that was just what you took on. So if you started taking on more serious projects, they'd give you more serious projects.
I gotcha.
So towards the end, they were giving me, something that they'd give an employee.
Right.
But yeah, it was a great experience. A lot of the marketing projects I was doing, I could see how that they were benefiting the agent. So you kind of get to see it from the other side of things. You can kind of see what the agents are dealing with and
Definitely.
and how to help them out. So it was a great experience. And the corporation, it was kind of surprising. It was pretty flexible.
That's nice.
So
how long did you do the internship for?
I did it. It was a year-long internship, and then I decided to get into sales after that.
Nice.
So
and you said you worked for a printing company. Was that? Did you say you were up in Chicago?
No, I was in Bloomington.
Oh, that was also there. Nice. And you were doing marketing for them or sales?
I was actually doing sales.
Okay.
And they did a lot of banners and things of that nature, but they would do more corporate. So there's a lot of insurance carriers in Bloomington, the insurance capital of Illinois.
Yeah.
They were, say like an agent they wanted every agent to have a banner. They would print, 5,000, 10,000 banners or whatever,
contracts.
and then ship them individually. So they had the fulfillment aspect going on too.
Nice. Okay. So you get some good, how was that? Get some good experience there. Did they have you like trying to get new? So when I was at Ace Sign Company, I was doing national accounts, which sounds similar.
Did you land the Super Bowl?
I did not land that. That was actually random. They like reached out to us. I don't remember if they saw something we did or just found our website. But yeah, that was a cool project. Did you just see it, or did you see it back then? Or
I remember it being advertised somewhere because
Yeah.
it was big. It was a big deal, obviously.
Yeah, we did a lot of PR around it.
What Super Bowl was that?
Oh, geez, it was the one in New York. Do you remember which one that was? At the Jets or whatever studio or stadium studio.
Is that Meadowlands?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. I don't follow sports close enough to, but it was awesome, man. Yeah, that was a cool project. That was actually one of the first like major videos I did. Is they had me document the whole process of designing it, producing it, and then unveiling it. And then they even sent me to New York to film the unveiling of it, which was pretty cool. Yeah. And when we did that project, before we shipped the letters off, we had like a big thing at their shop, and there was a lot of people there, and you know people in town, and I just saw how much people reacted to it and enjoyed it, and I had people come up to me telling me how good it was, and that was one of the main things that kind of made me realize, plus where social media was going with video, that was one of the main things that made me realize, like, man, I really like doing that. I really like doing the video stuff. And it was one of the things that kind of pushed me into what building this, I guess.
Yeah, that's great. And I've kind of noticed that too, because I've had a lot of jobs, in high school and college, and you kind of can take something from every single job, no matter small it seems, and kind of realize what you like and what you don't like and what you're good at and what you're not good at and so on and so forth. So,
right.
So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I think, there's a lot of people out there that don't know what they want to do, and it's like, just get out and start doing stuff.
Just do stuff and figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, look at you. You went from insurance to a printing company and then back.
And I've been in every type of role within the insurance gigs too.
That's good, though, because you see all sides of it. It just makes you do your job now probably that much better, I would imagine.
Yeah, because as much as we like to stay in our lane, you still do need to know other departments within your industry. So yeah, definitely.
How long have you been with Ware Group?
I started in 2008, or 12, sorry. So 12,
Okay.
so 8 years, almost 9.
Nice. How many people do you have local? Like, are you the main person here in Springfield?
We have 2 in Springfield.
Okay.
Yeah. So I am the main. We have 2 in Springfield, and then we have probably 3-4 agents in Champaign, and then that's where our customer service and our sales support is as well.
Okay.
And then Chicago's a couple people, Iowa's a couple people, Indy will be a couple people. So
yeah,
because you don't want a bunch of agents banging heads, because there's only so many. I mean, it happens even in Springfield every now and then. Yeah. So you don't want them banging heads and looking silly.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. Well, that's nice. It's kind of like so where did it start?
It started in Champaign. So the president was in charge of the state operation minus Chicago. So all of Illinois minus Chicago. And he retired at age 40. Wow. He was at the previous company that I was with, and he retired at age 40. And then just kind of at the advice of brokers, hey, why isn't there a company? There's all these single carrier reps running around. Why isn't there a company that brokers supplemental insurance? Because agencies have been doing it for years with every other type of insurance.
Right.
So like Bailey, I mean, they have so many different carriers.
Yeah, for sure.
But at that time, the supplemental market was just single carrier reps saying that they were the best, and they all have their pros and cons. So he kind of took it and ran with it, and several states later and several years later, 600 accounts later, some national ones, we're still.
That's awesome.
We're still trucking.
It's interesting to know how things get started like that. How did you actually end up with the company then back in 2012?
So I knew.
You said that he was at your.
Yeah, he was at the old company.
Okay.
And then he retired probably about my first year when I was with the old company. But we had a good relationship. We stayed in contact, and I decided, it was just about having more options.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing claims a lot too, which is good.
Right.
I don't want to send my people to an 800 number. I don't like calling them, so I'm not gonna. So it was either I do them or I send them to an 800 number. So I just did claims. But, you need to be out and about talking to people. So that was one of the big reasonings too.
How hard have you found it to do like sales and stuff and, talking to people about this stuff with like COVID going on?
It's definitely made it tremendously. Everything's a double-edged sword. There's always silver lining in something, but it's my job is, at the end of the day, when you simplify it, is to be in front of people.
Right.
So to be in front of employers and be in front of employees. And we've had the technology forever. The good thing about, it's not good, obviously, but to try to see the silver lining, one good thing about the pandemic, it kind of forced people to Zoom.
Right.
So I'm able to do a lot of meetings via Zoom. I actually like them, I think, more than in person because you can kind of see and hear yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you can connect instead of just having to be around Springfield. I can go wherever I want.
Right.
So
the one benefit that I like of that is the just the time. I'm always fighting for more time in the day, so that is kind of nice.
Save on the driving and the mileage and the gas and but so it's definitely made it more difficult because I think that nothing beats in person.
Right.
And especially when you're explaining it to an employee and they have those specific questions that you were alluding to earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But so it has affected it. But at the same time, I've had a lot of time we've been able to adapt, and I've been able to kind of work on the business instead of in it. So looking at my strategy, my planning.
Would you say the Zoom meetings and stuff was like the biggest change that you like during all this, the biggest kind of pivot that you had to take?
Yeah, because I went from never even thinking about it to that's what I ask when I reach out. Hey, let's get on Zoom for 30 minutes.
I had a buddy who he's been a teacher forever or a counselor at a school, and he just changed to I don't know if he's I can't remember if he's actually like a broker or what now, but he's getting in investments, doing investments for people and all that stuff, financial advising. But he did it right in the middle of all this, like took his tests and quit his other job and like got into this, and I'm just like, man, I feel like your job's a lot of like getting out there and talking to people. It's going to be a tough thing to do, you know what I mean? And he actually came and talked to me because he was interested in like my thoughts on different ways he could, it's been a friend of mine since high school, so he was just asking my thoughts on different ways to like get to people or find those niches and stuff. So we had a discussion about that. But yeah, that's tough for salespeople, man. The people that like, especially ones that are knocking down doors, going into places. Can't imagine having to deal with that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I wonder if people are still doing that. I've thought about that. And what type of looks that they're gonna get if they walk into a business, during a pandemic. Yeah. So
can we have a meeting or? How do you guys typically get like leads, like through like your marketing? I guess do you guys run like advertisements, or what's your main?
So ours is more of center of influence referrals. We're looking for. So at first it's kind of. what employers do you know, and then do a good job, and then ask for referrals essentially. So,
Yeah.
a lot of word of mouth.
Which is one of the best ways, obviously.
Yeah.
That's been one thing with us. Like, I kind of, people, ask how we're doing. I'm like, well, we're doing great. I feel like I probably could make the business grow faster, but I don't know if that's obviously always better. Like, I don't want to ever take away from one customer because we have a new customer. So it's about making sure everything's balanced, and kind of the slow growth, I think, is a more sustainable thing, and for us at least,
Yeah, we have the same philosophy: grow organically. Because you can, that's a pretty good way to go out of business if you take on something that,
and people get unhappy.
Yeah, you got to kind of jump in. You can't be too cautious, but at the same time, you can't get too big too quick either.
Yeah.
And you see that with, inventory. Of some companies popping up online, and then they run out of inventory for a month, and you're probably going to lose a lot of customers in a month.
One of our customers, I was just sad. He's like, I'm buying up stuff like crazy right now just because if they do another lockdown, like last time I couldn't get half of my products or what I needed. So he was just saying, like, I'm just buying up as much as I can, so in case something happens, I have stuff to sell still.
Yeah. Yeah, because that didn't happen just to toilet paper.
Yeah, well, all the supply chains get ruined, and they're not shipping stuff from China, whatever. I don't know the exact details, but I just know they definitely were affected by it.
Yeah, and shipping got slower. I noticed that.
Well, so ISU worked for those couple places, printing shop, and then you came back to Springfield, you said?
Yeah.
After that?
Mm-hmm.
And then you started immediately after the printing shop? This was the next
Yeah,
job?
I came back to Jacksonville, and I just I was basically just looking for something to do, something to pay my college loans.
Yeah.
Keep me busy a little bit.
Did you know that the guy that started Ware, and you said you had stayed in contact with him, did you know he had started Ware, and then like reach out to him, or how did that kind of work out?
Well, he took off for a couple of years, and then I had learned he was doing something, but I didn't really know what he was doing. I didn't understand it. I think I thought he was doing health insurance, or maybe even selling auto insurance. I didn't really know what he was doing. And then, as time went on, the conversation just kind of got more serious, I guess. And then
it's important to keep those contacts that you make over the years,
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. That's one thing. It's funny with this pandemic, like, a bunch of my friends, don't live in town. That's from high school and stuff. And we had got on some Skype calls or Zoom calls, whatever. And we had, we talked for like an hour. There's like 6 or 7 of us in there. And I'm like, man, this is great. I was like, why don't we ever do this any other time? It's like, it's not any different. We don't live together. It's not like we're doing this in person. You know what I mean? The rest of the time. But it was, I think that that is a benefit of it, that it's made a lot of people realize, like, you can connect, you know what I mean, and have face-to-face conversations over, these Zoom calls and Skype, whereas in the past, a lot of people probably didn't even know how to really use any of it or care to learn to use any of it.
Yeah, and now there's video chat on everything. Snapchat has it now. I saw you can do a group, Snap, chat, Facebook's got it. All the phones have Duo and FaceTime. And
it is kind of funny, though, even before all this, I did notice that a lot of really the younger generation, and it makes me feel old saying that, but that they would always, they were always calling on FaceTime. Like, they would just always call each other. That's how they called each other.
I don't even think they text.
I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to be on FaceTime all the time, but now they got like group FaceTime and all that stuff. Yeah, it's funny. It's different. So how do you think, what's your opinion on say this is all over, say we get past, this lockdown crap, how do you think the world is going to be changed after all this?
I think a lot of systems that were implemented are going to stick around. I think that Zoom's not going anywhere.
You think a lot of businesses are going to not have as like not have as big offices and stuff? You think they're going to allow more people to work from home?
Yeah, because there's been a lot of companies that were ahead of the curve and went remote a long time ago, and they've done studies and they've shown that it can actually increase productivity. You don't have distractions. You don't have where you're hanging around the coffee machine chatting. You don't have the commute. You don't have to get dressed up or anything like that. So I think that, a lot of the systems that have been implemented that COVID forced people to implement are going to stick around. But I think a lot of things will get back to normal too.
Do you think that people are more productive, like being at home?
I think it depends.
In my head, I feel like they would not be, just because. The problem is distractions are so, like even just being on the computer. Even myself here at work, I'm on the computer and I'm doing something, and I'm like, oh, I need this picture off of Facebook. Oh, I need to check this customer's Facebook, and I get on there, and then like one thing, the news feed pops up first. And I see something. I'm like, oh wait, let me check that out. And then I'm like, what the hell was I doing? Like 10 minutes later, you know what I mean? And it's so hard to, like, there's just so many distractions. Everything out there's fighting for your attention. You get a text message, you get this, you get that, and it slows me down sometimes if I don't like just really stay focused.
Yeah, I think it just depends on the person. I think some people need that setting, and some people will do okay remotely. I think it just depends. Everybody's different.
Yeah. The other thing here that I like about everybody being here is there's just a more of a team aspect. I feel like everybody kind of feels like they're working together more. We could talk easy, because we have a lot of different things. Like one person might be working on a video while the other person is working on a graphic for that video, and it's just nice for that easy communication right there, like sitting together, turning around, chatting real quick. I guess you could do that by having like a video chat or something going at all times, but it's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. You don't have to send an email or schedule or get a Zoom set up if it's just something simple. So yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to everything, just like everything else. So yeah, I mean, I could see maybe like a hybrid. They work at the office Monday through Thursday, and then maybe Friday's a remote day. Or
how do you think it'll affect your guys' business moving forward? You think you'll go back to more in-person stuff eventually?
I think it will go back to more in person, but the Zoom will be more of a feasible option nowadays because, probably my favorite thing I've noticed, we service new hires. So when someone's hired, they're eligible for their benefits, sometimes right away, sometimes after 60, 90 days, whatever. So we'll actually go see them because when they're new, they're going to have guaranteed issue, no health questions. Well, when you have to drive to, I have accounts in Quincy and Hannibal, Missouri. So when you have to drive to Hannibal, Missouri to see one employee, that's not economical.
Right.
So, I don't mind seeing 20 employees, but if it's just one, it's not economical.
Yeah.
So just having the capabilities to Zoom a new employee is phenomenal.
And it's almost good for you in that situation, definitely, because it's more of a normal thing to do, whereas before they might not. They almost might take offense to it or something. Like, this guy doesn't even really want to sell me. He wants me to Zoom and not talk to me in person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that I could see that definitely being nice for that situation.
Because people didn't really know how to use Zoom that well. And once you do it, it's easy. You click on a link and you're good to go.
We did for Habitat for Humanity not too long ago. We kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, emceed or whatever, managed a live stream for them, which was pretty interesting because they don't give away, but they do these house turning over the houses. They build houses for people, and they always emphasize, which it is important to emphasize, I think, is they're not giving them the house.
Yeah, they've earned it.
Yeah, the people have earned it, put in work. They still have to pay for it, but it's just like a zero interest loan, whatever. But anyway, they do these dedications, and they're always in person, and they have a lot of people and stuff. But with everything going on, they couldn't do them, a big dedication. So they had us set up like a live stream, and then we pre-recorded a bunch of videos like of the house, of people that helped with the house, giving little speeches, and then we were able to during it like pull that up, and then we had people in there that were taught that also were giving a live speech remotely. So we'd pull them, give them the camera and let them give their speech, and it was pretty interesting. It worked out really well. It was kind of fun to do.
And then you have the long, that lasts forever.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a one-time thing. You can look at that video whenever you want.
Exactly. So. Yeah, they had us record the whole thing so they could put it out there and share it.
So they've opened up their audience from just the people that would go there in person to everybody. So so things like that,
it's almost better.
Will stick around.
And I told them, I was like, you should make like a Facebook event for this. You know what I mean? Because there might be a bunch of other people that want to join the event and see the dedication. And there was a lot of emotion. Like, I didn't realize how, the people crying because they help so much. And then the homeowners, gets teary because they're getting a new house. And I was like, if other people saw this and it was out there more, I think you guys would get more donations or people helping or people, and that's what they're always looking for, people to help or help build the house or help donate some stuff or whatever, fundraise. So yeah, it was kind of interesting. Right now we actually have I got to brainstorm one of our customers up in Wisconsin. They usually do these shows every year, and they spend like 20-30 grand on shows a year. Wow. Which a lot of people do. Those shows are friggin' expensive, that these businesses go to, but they want to they got to figure out how to use that money elsewhere to do something, and they were looking for some unique ideas. So that's one of the things that we got on our list here to brainstorm on and try to figure out for them. Like, I kind of was talking about like a virtual show or something, maybe, you know what I mean, where you could get people in there and show them the different pieces of equipment or whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of the same situation. It's like, I wonder, when these big shows, they got to keep happening. Those are like main revenues, I would think, for a lot of those companies that manage those.
Yeah, I think just you're going to kind of see a hybrid. They're still going to do everything in person, but then have this on the side. So I'm pretty active in Kiwanis, and we had to switch our meetings to virtual, in March, and then again, not more recently, and they're going to keep it around.
Yeah.
Because people can hop on, say someone works out of town or someone's on the road or whatever, they can hop on the meeting without being physically present.
Get a better turnout,
it just
probably.
opens up a whole demographic of people, if you will.
Yeah.
And I personally, meetings, we've kind of got to a time to where sometimes there's too many meetings about meetings.
Right.
So, if you can pop in digitally for a little bit, then
see if it applies to you or there's anything it's interesting. Weird times, man. Weird times.
I just hope that the last pandemic was in 1918, I believe. So I just hope we have another 100 years before the next one, because this is pretty rough.
My thing is I worry about, like, they see that they've been able to tell people to stay home and all this stuff, and I'm like, all right, how far are they going to take this in the future? You know what I mean? I don't want to get out of hand. Because I don't think that the government should tell people what to do.
I agree.
We're not going to get into politics, but just in general, even wearing a seatbelt, like, you're an adult, like, it's like smoking cigarettes. They don't tell you that you can't smoke cigarettes, even though everybody knows it kills you, but they could tell you to wear a seatbelt.
Well, there's too much money in it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's funny.
But yeah, so you bring up a good point. Like, hey, flu season's bad this year.
Everybody stay home.
Stay home.
Nobody
or
go to work.
Hey, you'll get arrested if you don't get a flu shot. You know what I mean? So yeah, I definitely see what you're saying, where you draw the line.
Have you seen the preview for that new Netflix movie coming out?
Which one?
It's basically about like an exaggerated version of this, like completely exaggerated, where they're like taking people away that aren't vaccinated or that are sick, and like never see them again. It looks crazy.
Sounds like something I want to check out. What's it called?
I don't remember what it was called. It looks crazy though.
So it's like it's fictional, obviously, but it's kind of based on true
this
event.
Like, say this got out of hand, like extremely out of hand.
So like some Black Mirror. Have you seen?
I haven't watched many of those, but I know that they're neat. Like, I want to check some of them out.
Yeah, they kind of take they exaggerate current technology and kind of make it scary.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it probably is. I would
yeah.
imagine it's probably very similar to that.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of an idea, but in the future they can export. They can put you in prison, like in your mind instead of physically. So they can make you go to prison for 40 years, but and every episode's different.
Sit in a room or something.
I think you sit. I think they implant the data in your head and.
That's crazy.
And it's like you've been there for 40 years, but you haven't. It was only a second.
Oh, really? That's crazy.
And every episode's completely different.
Right.
I don't even know if they're in the same world, but they're all based off
I think I might have
something.
watched like one or two, but yeah, no, I need to check that out because that's totally up my alley. I like weird stuff like that. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, one in the preview, one lady like helps out another person just being a human being, and I think she gets exposed and she's getting taken away, but her boyfriend or whatever is immune to it, so he like ends up fighting to it turns into a whole story. Yeah, it looked pretty interesting, but it was literally like an exaggerated version. I think it said it was directed by Michael Bay or something.
Okay,
so
is that the guy that does all the action movies?
Yeah, like I think he did like Transformers, and yeah, so that's pretty big director. It's interesting on these platforms now how fast they can make something. You know what I mean? Like this, they probably started back in I don't know when the pandemic kind of hit, I would imagine, and boom, it's done, ready. They're going to have it out soon. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I know that. I've noticed Netflix is coming out with documentaries. Literally, I swear that they were filmed last week, and they just have they've edited them all week and shot them out because they've had some ones that they were literally talking about very, very current events. So it is crazy how fast.
Yeah, it's turning almost more into like a YouTube type of thing,
which is even trying to get into quality. the movie industry, and so is Facebook. Facebook has movies now.
Yeah, they actually have some pretty big incentives for certain creators that have like decent followings. It's pretty interesting. Yeah. Is there anybody? Obviously, it's your realm. Is there anybody on like social media that's great to like follow that you can like learn a lot from like an insurance side of things?
I just try to, I can't think of one specifically. I just try to follow my carriers, of course, and then I try to follow people that are big in the insurance industry. Yeah. But I mean, I can't think of really too many big names.
Yeah.
Because they're just kind of a niche. It's kind of a niche, obviously. Right. So
there's just
only people like me are listening to them.
Yeah. Well, but there's always an audience, and that's the best thing is finding your niche and being the best person in that niche, really. Like I'm into cameras and camera gear and social media stuff, but there's a shitload of people on YouTube doing that stuff, so it's hard to really take any audience from there. On the flip side, there's probably a bigger audience looking at that stuff too, so that you could have your argument there. But yeah, I argue, like, I worry about how much is really being like. School is important. I did learn stuff in college. Was it necessary? Probably not. All that stuff, as long as you have the discipline, I feel like nowadays, man, you can learn anything.
Oh,
you can learn anything online. It's just amazing.
Yeah, there's things that I can do that I shouldn't know how to do just from watching YouTube videos, home projects, and things like that.
Yeah.
And it just makes you think, wow, what these kids nowadays have it. Sound old, but yeah, these kids nowadays have it.
Yeah.
They can get a doctorate, the equivalent of a doctorate degree in their car and on their computer.
Yeah.
You can learn whatever you want.
Unless you're like wanting to be a lawyer or something where you have to go through those certifications. There's a term for whatever that type of schooling, but I feel like I just don't feel like it. The problem is you have to have the dedication and like the discipline to sit down and learn it and really become an expert in it. But between that and getting real world experience, I feel like you could compete with anybody on anything.
Yeah, you can learn how to code for free.
Yeah. Well, my brother, he's older than me. He's 8 years older than me, I think. So this was a long time ago, but I remember it was so crazy because he was going to U of I in Champaign, and he wasn't doing well. He just it was just school in general. He's a very smart guy, but just didn't like school and the structure of it. Dropped out his second year there, I think. Moved back home, and this was right when internet was, really starting to blow up, computers, all this stuff. And he would read a big old book. I remember these giant books. I was like, I could never read a book that big when I was, I'm young. But and he would read this giant book like in a week, and then the next week drive down to St. Louis and take a test and get certified.
Wow.
And he did this with like Windows and all these different networking things and security and got all these different certifications, and then eventually got a job at LRS. Worked his way up there. Was like a manager there, and then left there and worked at Microsoft ever since. And he's like a partner at Microsoft now. And it's just like, that is so crazy to think about. You know what I mean? Like,
that's amazing.
He just taught himself all. And this was before the internet, so it was even harder then. You had to go buy like a giant book and read a book. And there wasn't as much information available on the internet. Mm-hmm. But it's just, anybody could. That's what it's just nowadays. It's like anybody could go do that if they just have the discipline to learn the stuff, and that's the hardest part, really.
And that's weird to think about, but I do with the internet when it didn't have a lot. But I do remember, way back in the day, you would hang out at your Yahoo,
getting a little AOL.
Chat. That's all you did. It wasn't like you could.
Man, we got a chat going on here.
Yeah, you couldn't Google how to learn how to program. So has your brother hung out with Bill Gates?
I don't know. I can't remember. I think he's met him, or maybe been somewhere with him. He's not even active really in the company anymore.
Yeah, he's all about the foundation.
Yeah,
he's in every. Seems like he does documentaries full time too. He's in every documentary. I've seen him in 3 or 4 recently.
He's been there. How long has my brother been there now? Jeez, he's been there a while. That would have been 2000. Let's see. I graduated in 2004. He's probably been there. He's probably been with them since like 2006, maybe 2007, something like that.
Yeah.
So he's worked there for a while now. But pretty interesting. And that's also part of him living different places and traveling. I've traveled with him different places and stuff, and that got me a lot of experience in just seeing different cities and how things are done. And that was part of the thing with starting this business also personally, is just seeing what's happening other places, because Springfield's always a little bit behind on things, you know what I mean? So it's nice to be able to travel and have those foresights on stuff that's eventually going to make it here. And that's where I think, with getting going on what we were doing or what we're doing back then, it kind of helped us all that much more, because you knew it was coming,
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's funny you say that, because our business model is kind of based off of what was happening on the West and East Coast as well.
Yeah.
We just wanted to be ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
So yeah, just because we're going to implement it, we'll adapt eventually. We're always a little slower in the Midwest for some reason. Mm-hmm. So
I know I've tried to think of other opportunities. I'm like, all right, what else could I take advantage of with that philosophy?
Yeah, but one of my coworkers, he's in Iowa, and everybody there's on LinkedIn. Around here, I mean, it's growing, but it's not as big as. There's a lot of people that don't have it. There's a lot of people that don't use it.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, you could see it in real time.
It was funny. I did a podcast not too long ago with I was on somebody else's podcast, but it was just over voice chat. It was just an audio one, but it was a local guy who does voiceover work, and we got into it. I figured he had asked me to do it. I've never met him, but I figured he probably did a little bit of research on me, maybe found my company or something. But while we were doing it, he started digging into my LinkedIn profile. And I was like, oh, you really got into it. You know what I mean? Because my profile is kind of ridiculous. I just outlined like shortly like how I got to where I am. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a weird outline. Mm-hmm. So it's probably a lot different than most people's LinkedIn profiles. But it was kind of funny him talking to me about it. But yeah, no. And LinkedIn's great for like, probably someone like you, mm-hmm. You know what I mean? A lot of people, customers, when they're talking to me, if they're a B2B customer, I'm like, Facebook's awesome, and I always recommend being on there, especially around here. That's one of the main things to use. But for B2B, LinkedIn's interesting. I mean, you can literally target people by their job title,
exactly,
which is pretty interesting. How do you guys, I know you said that there's you mentioned a couple different ways you kind of get leads, but say I know there's a lot of restrictions with like in financial advisors and stuff. do you have much restrictions on like your field? Say you wanted to start a YouTube channel or something, you know what I mean? Is there a lot of restrictions you'd have to be careful of, or?
You would want to, if you get into the nitty gritty. So I'm an independent contractor, so like any liability would most likely fall on me. But if you get into the nitty gritty of insurance, you probably want to use a carrier's materials.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that, I make these landing pages, which is just a hub with all the information the employee will need. I could probably make videos. I've thought about it, but I don't know. A carrier has already made a video. I think mine would be better in my opinion, but
sometimes
just being
just
in front of people,
the personal aspect,
just
of
being
it.
in front of people. But at the same time, they have a whole department that does compliance.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, it would just kind of be like how much risk I would want to take on, and how effective.
Because do you have like a license you could possibly lose or something, anything like that?
Yeah, you have to be licensed. You have to have a producer's license, is what it's called, in the state of Illinois, plus every other state you want to sell business in.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to renew it every 2 years. You have to do a continuing education every 2 years, and then you have to do an ethics course, which the ethics course is funny because they always say, yeah, we have to do an ethics course. The instructor's always like, yeah, you have to do an ethics course, but our politicians don't. That's always, every single instructor I have had has said that. That's the first thing hilarious. They say. So, being from Illinois. Yeah. So you can lose your insurance license. I think, that's more of if you're doing, shady stuff. So the whole reason that there's a Department of Insurance is because way back in the day, insurance agents were selling policies to elderly people, and they weren't really selling them policies. They're just taking their money. So
many crazy
So all
scams.
of this regulation, comes from, there's a reason that it came. So yeah, I mean, if I'm doing shady, illegal stuff, and, I would hope that they can pull it, and I would hope that they would. So.
Yeah.
But in terms of like a video or something, I don't think.
Yeah. So, cause I was just curious, cause obviously with financial advising, they have a ton of restrictions on stuff. But I told them, I'm like, I understand there's a lot of restrictions, but there's a ton of stuff you could still do. I mean, there's basic information that people don't understand that you could sit and explain, and they're going to find that very helpful. A lot of people don't know what an IRA is, or the difference between a Roth and a traditional. This is all basic information that you could make videos about and put out there. That your face is on. Yeah, it's information they could go search and find or whatever. But if you're putting it out there on your social media and you're getting to somebody that doesn't know about that, or even the supplemental thing, explaining how it works, they find it, they see your face, they're comfortable with talking to you. It makes it that much easier to make a sale.
Yeah, and I do know that the financial industry is a lot more regulated, and also if they're working for like if it was like a Edward Jones agent or whatever, I guarantee corporate's not going to let them do a lot of that stuff. So it's different. Like if you're,
especially with the big company,
if you're a captive agent for a big company, you can't do anything unless it passes compliance. But me,
deal with that. It sucks, yeah.
I could, it's whatever risk I want to take, and I don't think that there's, a lot of risk involved in it. Just as long as you're not making stuff up.
Yeah, just to state the facts. You know what I mean? Yeah. Information. Yeah, I think on the financial side, I could just see obviously if you're suggesting a stock in a video or something, you know what I mean? And that's what I told them. Just you don't have to be specific. Be specific about real information, stuff that is out there that your company that. A lot of these that I found, because I've had a couple reach out to me about this, and I found, and they most of them are through a bigger company, so that bigger company has to approve stuff. And I'm like, well, just make a video about the stuff that's already approved, that's on your website. Like I said, what is a Roth IRA? What's a traditional IRA? When's it better to have one or the other? You know what I mean? There's four videos right there. You know what I mean? Because that's what we try to do here is we look at a larger piece of content and how can we break that into a couple pieces to get somebody's attention and then get them to that larger piece of content that they might watch the whole thing of or learn more about. It's kind of like just get them started on the funnel type of thing.
And that makes sense because they're not going to want to listen to everything's got to be easily digestible,
Right.
user friendly. So
Okay.
if it's a 20-minute video about finance, I doubt.
Yeah, but even
just a small
on
snippet.
supplemental, you know what I mean? Like when do you need supplemental insurance? When's it benefit? You know what I mean? And obviously, you're trying to look for employers more. So I don't know what would be the best route there. You'd have to kind of target or cater it to the actual employer, I guess, trying to get to them. But yeah, I would think on LinkedIn, definitely something with you, from where your stance and trying to connect with other people, businesses to offer it.
Yeah, that's
like
where
a
I
good
spend the
spot.
majority of my time, because I just feel like Facebook's more B2C and LinkedIn's more B2B.
Yeah.
So, because like even if
Well,
one
and
of,
it's just
even if-
harder to target on Facebook the right person, you know what I mean? On LinkedIn, like if you were actually running ads, you could target like, I don't know what business, I mean, I'm sure but whoever's in charge of making those decisions at a business, whatever their title is, you know what I mean, generally, or the CEO of a business or whatever, that's just
yeah,
kinda interesting.
absolutely. And like and on Facebook, they'd have to be a business owner, because even if an employee wanted it, they're not,
Yeah,
they
well,
can't
they're
make the
gonna go to
decision.
there, yeah.
I mean, it depends on how much pull they have, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that the
I guess you
employers
could hope that they would go to their boss like, hey, I really want supplemental insurance.
yeah, but I'm sure that they're getting that question about everything. Hey, we want gym memberships. We
Right.
want, you know what I mean? So
We want everything.
there's a lot of new random benefits out there. So I'm sure that the employers have been asking about. So
Yeah.
so I mean, they could take it with a grain of salt. Like, yeah, I don't care about Ware Group.
So are there different, and this might be a dumb question, but I assume there's different kinds of supplemental insurance?
Yeah, so we do the hierarchy of needs is what we call it. So, it's about helping people instead of just selling something.
Yeah.
So on the top of that hierarchy of needs, the most important products are going to be health and retirement, which we don't do. But if somebody's like, hey, I don't have health insurance, but I want this accident plan, we're going to be like, yeah, probably should get it, health insurance.
First. Get the health
Or-
insurance and then let us help
Yeah.
you.
Or, hey, I want this accident plan, but I don't put money into my retirement. Well, you should probably do that. Your employer's matching too. So
Yeah. Well, that's good. that
you don't want to
guys-
give away.
Yeah, that's
But-
good that you guys help point that out.
But usually at the top of that list is going to be a disability. So I like to call it insurance on your paycheck. So if someone can't work for a health issue, then it's a majority of their paycheck's going to come in.
Yeah.
So most people are paycheck to paycheck in America, depending on what study you look at, 83% or so. So most people can't miss a paycheck or two. That would be a good fit for them,
For sure.
so that they don't lose their assets if they can't work. And then life insurance is obviously pretty important. What we've noticed is that back in the day, the insurance agents used to go to your kitchen and sell you life insurance. Well, now they still exist, but they're going after doctors, lawyers, business owners.
Mm-hmm.
So that middle America has kind of been underserved. So when you survey employees, I think 75%, when you survey people, I think 75% say that they don't have any life insurance, they don't have enough. So we're able to make it easy. It's really easy to understand. It's payroll deducted. They don't have to get a physical, any of that stuff. So we just make it accessible is kind of the value we're adding there.
Yeah.
And then they have plans that pay for specific instances. So like an accident plan, if you get hurt, you get paid. A critical illness, if you have a heart attack, stroke, cancer, you get paid. So you just kind of tailor it to, each employee based off their situation. If someone tells you, I have 6 months of savings, then they probably don't need short-term disability.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I wish more people did, but I can't. It's kind of hard to control buying and spending habits. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I guess I get it, but just people that live, paycheck to paycheck like that. My thing is like, all right, if you just take like 2 or 3 months and don't do much, you could get a, as long as you're not living way above your means, you should be able to get a pretty good savings behind you, that you could cover you if something happened or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think it's kind of basic. It's basic math, spend less than you make,
Yeah.
and then stow it away.
Right.
That's we're not talking about saving like 90% and living like in a shed and stuff like that, but just.
I mean, you could if you really want to
yeah,
save
some
money.
people do. I mean, that's popping up. But
I was watching this video of this guy that kind of did something like that. He wanted to. He worked like a shitty job. He didn't make a lot of money. I don't remember what he said he made. It was a cruddy job. He made like not a ton of money, but he literally lived like ridiculously cheap, like ramen or like canned food, canned food. And I don't remember if he said he had his own place or not. But anyway, it was like super cheap, and he was saving like 90% of his income because he wanted to be able to. His original plan was to retire at like age like 30 or 40 or something. I don't remember what he said, but he actually ended up doing YouTube videos about what he was doing and like how he was saving his money and investing his money. And his YouTube channel like took off. So now he was able to quit and just focus solely on YouTube. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah. There's a lot of I've noticed a lot of people that seem to be making it well on YouTube, and it's just there's so many random things. There's guys that do commentator. Mm-hmm. They're commentators. They'll just show you a bunch of videos and talk about them, and then there's ones that'll take other videos and do voiceovers, and it's just wow, there's everything out there.
We were just talking about those, like, what are they called? Shitty or word lip readings.
Those are
funny.
I think that takes skill, though.
I know.
The things that they say and how it matches up perfectly. I'm like, they're not just making up stuff. So there's some science to this or something.
One of our customers does these like holiday videos, and couldn't think of an idea. I was like, man, it'd be funny if they like had each of them write like a little speech or something to say about the holidays, but then they were assigned like another person. They were like partners, on this, and they had to come up with a bad lip reading of the other person. I was like, that'd be pretty funny. That'd be pretty funny for him to do. But then I was like, it's probably really complicated. I don't know if they could handle that.
Yeah, because it looks like there's something going on behind the scenes.
Those like sports ones and stuff. Yeah,
so I've honestly wondered if they had some type of generator.
Yeah, like generate possible words or something. That'd be that's an interesting thought.
And then they just kind of run with it because they don't make any sense what they say.
Yeah,
but
I've never tried to do it. We should do a video trying to do a bad lip reading.
You can do it to this. You can do it to this video.
To the podcast. That'd be pretty funny. All right, had a little camera die there. We're back. But anyway, to kind of sum up, so you provide supplemental insurance to the businesses who can then offer it to the employees. So they bring you in, and the employees can basically pick any of the different supplemental insurances you offer?
Yeah, we usually try to keep it simple because if you're doing, I've seen some carriers they'll offer everything, but then you have what we call paralysis by analysis, too many decisions.
Yeah.
And oftentimes indecision can lead to indecision. So we'll design a program that's different for every group based off of what they already have, their employee demographics, things of that nature. And then we'll keep it simple. Sometimes we'll do one. Usually it's 2 or 3 products. And then I'll start off by asking questions and then just kind of go from there. So if somebody's 22, which I used to talk to people that were older than me, now I'm talking to people younger than me. But if somebody's 22 and they live at home and they're on their parents' health insurance, then that's obviously going to change the conversation a little bit. Yeah,
so if you're an employee who wants some supplemental insurance, go to your boss, tell him to contact Brad here. And if you own a business, he's the man that can come in and kind of help guide you on that stuff.
Yeah, and then if you're a broker and you kind of want to get into the supplemental insurance, but you don't want to reinvent your own wheel, then we can help with that too.
Partner up. They can stay in their lane, and you can focus on what you're good at.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming in today, Brad. Is there anything else specific? What's a good way people can reach out to you?
So the best way would be my email, brad@waregroupga.com, BRAD@WAREGROUPGA.com.
Nice.
Sorry to spell that out.
All right. And your guys' website?
It's the waregroupga.com.
Waregroupga.com.
Yep. Google us. You can Facebook us.
Definitely. And Brad was part of our networking group, Capillary Networkers. If anyone is out there is interested in here in Springfield joining that, I'm always looking for new businesses. Anything else you want to put out there?
Do you want
information?
Do you want me to do the advice or the hardest part or?
Yeah. So I guess I didn't even ask you that at the beginning. Sorry, that totally slipped my mind. I typically we ask at the beginning, what's the hardest part of being a business owner? So I'm trying to think of how I would structure that. So what's the hardest part? I don't know. How would you think about that question? I mean, obviously you're not owning the business, but you kind of are the head of it here in town, like you and what'd you say, one or two other people locally?
Yeah, me and So I own the Brad Probst agency essentially.
Oh, okay.
But I have the support of Ware Group. So Ware Group is.
Sorry about that. Yeah,
no, you're right. I don't own Ware Group, but I own my. It's like a franchise almost. Would be the easy way to explain it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I wasn't aware of that. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. The hardest part to me is just the mental aspect of it. So you've probably, maintaining focus and motivation consistently, because you've seen that thing online to where it shows you an iceberg and the success is at the top, and then underneath is like the hard work, sleepless nights, anxiety, worry, stress, blah, 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 blah. So, I compare insurance sales to being, like a Rocky movie. He gets, his face is like falling off, and then somehow he finds the drive to come back and win.
Yeah.
You're getting constantly beat up because you're just trying to compete for attention, basically, because there's so many other companies competing for their attention.
And sales in general is just a hard gig.
Yeah, because there's no barrier to entry, which is good and bad. It's good because you can get into it without, and the sky's the limit, but it's bad because sometimes people are in it that shouldn't be. So
what are some ways you deal with that? How do you keep yourself motivated?
I've noticed I'm still trying to figure that out, to be honest, but I've noticed that sometimes just going to work, you need some wins. So I would almost compare it to like the gym. The hardest part of going to the gym is actually getting there. Yep. But then once you're there, it's kind of smooth sailing from there, and you always feel good afterwards. You never regret going. It's almost kind of the same way. So when I'm feeling kind of down and out, just go to work and something will happen, usually to kind of get your spirits up. So, or, it's simple as taking a small break, a long break. Sometimes if you're not mentally there, you just have to plug out.
Yeah.
You just have to unplug.
Give your mind a break for a sec, for sure.
And then
get stuck, and I've told them here before, like, you get stuck creatively or whatever, like, stand up, take a stretch, drink of water or whatever, take a short walk, clear your mind for a minute.
Get on Facebook.
Don't do that.
Check out some cat videos.
Unless you're looking for ideas. That's definitely, I know what you mean there. It's weird how it changes too over time, because early on it's completely like no questions motivated, just because it's like nonstop, it's brand new, like trying to make it happen. And then depending on how things go, obviously if stuff goes bad, you're not getting any of those wins, still trying to make it happen is tough. I know, like, for me, it was, just every time I'd get a new client, like, it was like, oh yeah, it's awesome. You know what I mean? And now, like, one of the main things I know is, that really motivates me is just having kids.
Oh, like, absolutely.
It's weird how that's changed, because, in my head, like, in a family and wife and everything, it's just like, it's weird how, now I just think about, with everything I do, just providing a better life for my family, and that's both sides of, like, being home more also, because when I started this business, I also started a photo booth business at the same time, and even though that photo booth business is good and makes good money, it usually takes being gone on the weekend, on Friday, Saturday, whatever. And now that, Ootbox is doing good specifically, to where the other money I'm not as worried about, I'm like looking to sell that business or find somebody to just take it and run it, because I don't want my weekends,
fully understand.
taken up. So it's like I want to be able to choose. And with that, you're like, oh, my weekend of October 10th next year is already booked. Well, I don't know what I want to do. Might be something I want to do that weekend. You know what I mean? Whereas with this business, I I don't mind working weekends, but I want to be able to choose if I want to do it. You know what I mean? Or upcharge somebody like, oh, it's on the weekend. We're going to have to charge a little, you know what I mean? And work it out that way. It's not as far in advance type of thing. So it's kind of.
Yeah, I've never thought of it that way, but that's a very good point. Even from even like a photographer or the DJs or whoever, I mean, yeah, they're booked now they're booked 2 years out. And yeah, they can't do anything.
Right.
So
those weekends are just gone. And they don't even know what could be going on. There could be something awesome going on, or your kids have a sporting event, or this or that, and it's like so now I'm trying to like pay attention to that more, definitely.
Yeah, and if they cancel even for a good reason, it's still going to upset, that could, it could upset people, and with the keyboard courage, they could go on, give them a bad review, though, maybe they had a relative in the hospital, you know what I mean? So
yeah, it's
that's
it's a tough thing. But besides that, like this hearing customers' feedback has also been a big motivator, and makes you feel good. Just people, 2 months ago, I think we had 3 people tell us that or last month, I don't remember anyway, that we had 3 customers like, man, all the stuff that we've started with you and what we've been doing, our business is doubled.
Oh, wow.
And it's, you know what I mean? Just that's awesome to know that we're helping with that. Then you got the pressure of, keeping that up and, making sure they stay busy. But it's, and just helping local businesses grow. It's nice to know,
Yeah, because, you're doing this for a living, but I think at the end of the day, we have to be able to help people or you're not going to last long.
Right.
There's that. You have to have gratification in what you're doing. And when you're going out helping, you're helping businesses. I'm helping businesses and employees. It makes there's that sense of fulfillment, purpose.
So if somebody has an issue and has to utilize the supplemental insurance, do they usually contact you directly?
They contact our claims rep.
Okay. Do you know about it usually? Do you hear about it?
Not unless I need to. I would like to, but they're not.
I was just curious.
They're not that good about CCing me on claims because they kind of have it under control. Yeah. And I've learned to trust them over time. Yeah, but at first, I was like,
yeah, it's good because you don't have to worry about it. It's taken care of. But at the same time, I could see it would be nice, if someone's like, man, I'm out of work, I can't work, and knowing that your insurance is helping that person right then, all right, them paying for this is paid off right now. They get to use it. That's awesome. I could see that being a good feeling,
Oh, that's the best feeling that there is in this industry, because I hear about it at open enrollment when I go back every year, but it's always kind of awkward. Yeah, you're awesome, man. I got $20,000. Oh, did you?
Yeah, nice.
I didn't know that, but yeah, great.
That's funny.
but yeah,
that having that supplemental insurance, I'm sure for a lot of people, it changes their life when something happens.
Yeah, I've had people come up to me and say, hey man, you're the only reason that I have my house now, or this was priceless when I was going through that. I was thankful to have it, and that's what that's what kind of keeps you going.
Yeah,
seeing that you actually are changing people's family trees and whatnot. So
awesome.
And even if they don't get anything, just the fact that they understand it better, that. Right. I like that aspect of it too,
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, again, that working class market's kind of underserved. So,
yeah.
If they have a better understanding of the products, then, more power to them.
Yeah.
So
nice. All right. Well, thanks for being on, Brad. Brad with Ware Group. Be sure to contact him if you need any of his services. Thanks for being on.
Thank you. Have a good one.